Hey yo, what's up everybody? It's Ryan Miller checking in with GST's YQMA, episode number 8 today, talking about transitioning from the cut to the bulk. Our 3 questions today come from Alana Kern. Coming off a cut and transitioning to a bulk, does our body tend to want to pack on muscle right away? Is this a great time to take advantage of muscle gains? Or does our body build muscle at the same rate for the entire off season? Okay, Alana, let's fire up the first section to your question, which talks about the muscle building environment of your body immediately after your cut. What we need to really think about is that your fat gaining hormones, the ability of your body to gain fat, is going to be highest at the peak of your cut. Keep that in mind. And the other thing we need to consider is that your muscle building hormones are going to be at their lowest point at the peak of a cut. So what we need to do is we need to really work on building up those muscle building hormones at a normal or steady or non-aggressive rate. We need to be careful about the fact that our body is prime for fat storage. And the way that we work around this is we take our time working up. In the past, I mentioned around a month to work back up to maintenance. And then from there, you start edging up into a conservative surplus. Typically with bodybuilding and nutrition, the more aggressive the approach, the more non-ideal the results. And that's just how it tends to be, so we need to keep that in mind. If we increase too fast and we get into a big surplus right away, we're going to see that fat storage just shoot up. And we're not going to see the muscle gain shoot up at the same rate. And that's because the fat storage hormones are upregulated and the muscle building hormones are downregulated. Once those 2 hormone levels normalize, then you're good to go. That's when you're feeling your best and you really feel like you get into that muscle building phase of your off season. The second part of your question really seems to mimic the first part. You ask, is this a great time to take advantage of muscle gains? And I think my answer to the first section really covered that. So let's just move on to the third section. Does our body build muscle the same rate during the whole off season? Now, I touched on this a little bit in my previous answer. You see a lower rate of muscle gain in the beginning of your off season, especially if you did a contest prep and your cut was aggressive and you got very lean. So what you're going to see is a low rate of muscle gain in the early stages of your off season, but then you're going to see that ramp up and you're eventually going to see it level out. 2 to 4 months in, you're really going to feel like you're hitting that training zone. And that timeline all depends on how aggressive your cut was and where you started. But you will see that ramping and then that leveling off, just because when you level off, you're at your optimal rate of gain per period of time, and you really can't top that. Okay, Alana, I think we're all covered. I think the 3 sections of your question are taken care of. And I think that you have some thinking to do on how you want to transition from your previous contest prep into a true off season. And I know that you really want to gain a lot of lean mass, and for you to do that, you have to dedicate the necessary time to a real solid off season, trying to work those calories up, being responsible about your upward adjustments, and really tracking and knowing what you're doing throughout your whole off season. I recommend taking at least a year off season for you, if not 2 years. It might seem like a long time, but muscle gain tends to come slow. And I know you're not a complete beginner in the weight room, so it's not like you're going to be experiencing pure newbie gains. So I would definitely give yourself some time, enjoy more food, be responsible about your intake, track your scale weight so you don't get too out of control, and just enjoy that off season. It's one of the funnest training times of your life, especially since you're fairly young in the gym. And really, a lot of us wish we were in that phase right now, and you're in that phase, so you need to capitalize on that. Okay, so this has been GST's YQMA, episode number 8. We're almost finished with our week of bulking, building, and off-season gains. So if you have some questions revolving around those topics, get them in, ask them. You need to get them in soon, otherwise I'm not going to be able to cover them by the end of the week. Thanks again for watching.